People whispered that the dog was dangerous, but the moment he touched the disabled seal's hand, everything they thought they knew shattered. And no one at the shelter was prepared for what the cameras captured next. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. There had always been rumors about the dog in Kennel 13. Rumors whispered by volunteers who avoided walking past it, murmured by new adopters who heard the growl echoing down the hall. Some said the dog had bitten a handler. Others said he had been abandoned by someone who had hurt him. But the truth was simpler and far sadder. Everyone feared him because no one had ever taken the time to understand him. Until that morning. Until the day a man with a limp and old pain in his eyes stepped through the shelter doors, pushing aside the cold air as if he'd fought bigger storms. His name was Logan Rayner, retired Navy SEAL. Medically discharged after an explosion left him with a damaged leg, shattered hearing in one ear, and nights haunted by memories that refused to fade. He wasn't looking for a dog that day. At least, that's what he told himself. He had only come to deliver donated blankets from the Veterans Center. Nothing more, but fate rarely asks permission. As he stepped inside, the shelter's receptionist froze for a moment. Noticing the service patches sewn onto his jacket, the brace strapped around his leg, the way he scanned the room like he'd been trained to read every corner. And behind her, a loud, earth-deep growl rippled through the hallway. Every volunteer stopped. Every visitor turned, and Logan, instead of flinching, simply tilted his head. "What's back there?" he asked. The receptionist hesitated. That's 13. He's not adoptable. We keep him separated from the others for everyone's safety." Logan's eyebrows lifted just slightly. "Unsafe how? He's unpredictable. Breaks his kennel sometimes. No one goes near him unless absolutely necessary." Logan didn't move for a moment. His hand rested lightly on the counter, the faint tremor in his fingers revealing something no one else seemed able to see. Not fear, but recognition that he'd seen beings pushed too far, beings misunderstood, beings who growled not because they wanted to fight, but because the world had already fought them too long. "I want to see him," Logan said. She blinked. "Sir, I wasn't asking for permission," he replied softly, though not unkindly. There was authority in his voice, but also compassion. It was the voice of someone who once gave orders in the dark hours before dawn, when the stakes were life or death. The hallway tightened with tension as he walked toward Kennel 13. Volunteers watched from a distance. One whispered, "He's crazy." Another muttered, "That dog will tear him apart." But Logan didn't hear them. Or maybe he did, and he simply didn't care. Inside the kennel, the dog stood like a shadow made of muscle and fear. A giant shepherd mix, formatted from stress, chest rising and falling like a storm struggling to breathe. His eyes, a startling, trembling gold, locked onto Logan with the intensity of something deeply hurt and deeply defensive. The growl rumbled again. Low. Warning. Logan stopped 3 feet from the bars. He didn't lean in. He didn't raise his hands. He didn't speak. He simply breathed slow, measured, controlled, the same way he once approached wounded comrades in battle zones, unsure if they were conscious or fading. The dog's hackles stayed raised. His lips twitched. Then Logan whispered, "Easy. I know that sound. I used to make it too." The volunteers exchanged worried looks. One stepped forward. "Sir, please, you should step back." But Logan lifted one hand, steady, calm, signaling he understood the risk, accepting it anyway. He lowered himself to the ground, his injured leg stiffening painfully as he knelt. The concrete was cold beneath him, but he didn't wince. He just watched the dog, letting the creature see his posture change, letting him see that no harm was coming. The dog leaned forward abruptly, teeth flashing. A collective gasp filled the hallway, but Logan didn't move. He didn't flinch. He didn't even blink, and something in the dog's breathing shifted. Not much, just enough that a micro cliffhanger in the air. Logan reached out one hand. Not to touch, just to offer. The dog stared at the hand as if no one had ever offered anything without condition before. And then, very slowly, trembling with suspicion, the dog pressed his nose forward. Their first contact lasted only half a second, but it was enough to make a volunteer cry out in shock. It was enough for another to whisper, "Impossible." It was enough to change everything. Logan exhaled. Finally, quiet relief, quiet gratitude. "He's not dangerous," Logan murmured. He's scared. The shelter director arrived, breathless. What are you doing? No one has ever. But she stopped when she saw the scene. A disabled seal kneeling before a dog that everyone else had labeled a monster, and the dog, for the first time, wasn't growling. He was shaking, not from rage, from the hope he didn't know how to trust. What's his story? Logan asked. The director hesitated, then gently said, abandoned in a yard for years. No socialization, no affection, no training, nothing. He came to us starved and terrified. He's never let anyone touch him. Logan nodded, eyes softening with a pain only he understood. People fear what they don't understand. The dog pressed his nose to the bars again, longer this time. And then, to the shock of everyone watching, he whimpered, a broken, fragile, desperate sound that cracked the air like a confession. Logan looked up. Open the kennel. The director stepped back as if struck. No, absolutely not. I know what I'm doing. With all respect, you don't, she argued. Not with this dog. We can't risk. You think I haven't walked into situations where I didn't know what waited on the other side of the door? Logan whispered. I've faced explosives. I've dragged men twice my size through smoke. I've held dying brothers who were younger than this dog. Let me do this. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Authority isn't volume. It's presence. With a trembling hand, the director unlocked the gate. The volunteers held their breath. The latch clicked. The door opened. And the dog stepped out. No snapping. No lunging. He simply approached Logan, slowly, cautiously, like someone wading toward a shore they had never believed existed. He placed his giant head against Logan's chest. The entire shelter fell. Silent. Even the dogs in nearby kennels seemed to sense something shifting. Logan wrapped his arms around him. Careful, gentle, deliberate. You're safe, he whispered. And for the first time in that dog's life, he believed it. The shelter erupted in tears. Volunteers cried. Visitors cried. Even the director's voice cracked as she said, in 20 years, I've never seen anything like this. Logan stood slowly, using the dog as support. The bond was instant. Unbreakable. Something deeper than luck. Almost spiritual. The meeting of two broken souls who recognized each other before a single word was spoken. His name is Shadow, the director said softly. Logan smiled. Then Shadow's coming home with me. Are you sure? She asked. Logan looked down at the dog leaning into him like a child clinging to a parent. He chose me before I chose him. And as they left the shelter, the disabled seal limping beside the dog once feared by all, people gathered at the windows, watching in stunned silence. Some whispered blessings. Others wiped tears. A few simply smiled, touched by a moment that felt far too pure for this world. Shadow looked up at Logan as they stepped into the sunlight. Logan looked down. Two lives broken in different ways. Two hearts mending in the same instant. And the world, for a moment, felt gentler than it had in a long time. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits. And it finds its way back. And sometimes it returns in the form of a trembling dog who finally feels understood. If this story touched your heart, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us what humanity can still be.